All right, it is Friday. We are gearing up for a big weekend. If you're in well, I guess wherever you are, I'm in the East Coast in Massachusetts. I think people have figured that out. We are getting crushed with snow, and I see it's going to happen everywhere. So we've got a snowstorm Armageddon coming. We've got the championship games. Go Pats. Excited for that. And excited to welcome you to Red Sox Now, all presented by FanArch with me, Mike Antonellis. We got some more people in the Discord. I got some emails last night. If you'd like that Discord link, it is antonellis.michael@gmail.com. I'll send you over the link. I go to bed a lot earlier than the guys in the Discord, guys and gals. They're chatting it up all night. So we'd love to have you in there. That way, because today's the final show of the week, we discuss everything, not just Red Sox, but we can keep the Red Sox conversation going all weekend, all night, and deliver it to you. At the Radio Mike for my social media handles on X and on TikTok. The Gram as well. Love the Gram. And I get some Facebook requests from some of you, and we appreciate it. So we're counting down January 23rd. When I was working in baseball full time, I'm part time now. First 25 years I was in baseball full time. Right after the Super Bowl, I kind of felt like the season started. That's kind of what it felt like for me. It's even earlier now. I was telling some of the gang this last night in the Discord. Peyton Tolley talked about this. He is heading to spring training today. Nate Eaton and Tristan Casas, a little birdie, told me they're down there. Red Sox fantasy camp is going on, so a lot of those guys are using the JetBlue facilities, and they're seeing all those guys. So those guys are there now. It's just right around the corner. We're less than 30 days when officially they report. Still a lot of great players unsigned. I mean, the Framber Valdez thing is a mystery. Makes sense for the Mets. With the Red Sox, I don't think. But if they traded Bayo, would there be any scenario where that would happen? I don't know. As you see, okay, we got Heyman Report, Plan B for the Sox, top 100. That's prospects and your fantastic, most wonderful comments as well when we end the show. Portland Sea Dogs, State of Maine, Moose Sox sweatshirt. Going with the AA, AAA look. Red Sox, according to John Heyman, continue to look for a second baseman. And I got to bring this up again. This is why I was pushing this all offseason, why Bregman made the most sense for a position of priority, but a leader. You already know all that. So let's see how they get out of this. Why have they shifted towards maybe second base? And they're talking about defense, which makes a lot of sense. You have to have great defense when you have a great pitching staff. It's how you win games. It's what the teams that are winning are doing. But what does this tell us about the market? We don't know what teams are asking, but I have to imagine that the Paredes deal maybe is off because of the demands. We don't know. We assume a lot. There's the reports from Houston that they prefer Abreu, but like I've mentioned 2 days in a row on the show, I look at what the Houston people say. And the Houston side is they want Paredes to play first, and they want out of Christian Walker. So maybe for them to really get rid of Paredes, they're asking you for something ridiculous, which could be a Tolley or an Early in addition. Is that unreasonable? No, it's not unreasonable when you don't have that. That's the problem. And publicly saying the Meyer thing could be to alleviate that. I don't think it's totally that, but the fact that that is out there, that they're okay with that, I think it's because the market, third base is insane to find. And Meyer, like we've talked about, the concerns are injuries. Not the player. Elite defensively. He is. And I do want to see him play a full year. Is he Roman? No. Is he potentially to be kind of in the middle, like a little bit lower than Roman? Yes. Yes, he has 15 to 25 homer potential. So that's a dynamic where let's see if it sticks and if they're able to get second base. And Heyman is saying they are talking to the cast of characters that we've been mentioning, Donovan, Nico Horner, and others. You know, the Donovan thing intrigues me. I know a lot don't want another left-handed bat. I agree with that. And I wonder if that were to happen, what the return would be. I mean, the Cardinals are going to, that's a great player that you can build around. So we'll see if Matt Shaw is part of that. I know the Cubs really like him. They really like Nico Horner, but that's a 1-year deal. So, or if this just comes from somewhere we don't know. So the plan B, you know, there is a possibility, and I know people don't want to hear this. And if it does happen, Breslow will take a lot of heat, which I understand. But there is a part of this where it can get too costly. I go back to, you know, 2 trade deadlines ago where they got smoked by everybody, but they were reluctant to give away Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer, which was the right move. This past deadline, they didn't want to trade Connolly early for a rental starter. Tolley was mentioned in deals. Roman Anthony was still mentioned in deals. Same with Philly. The names, they were talking about this at the Phillies Caravan because Dombrowski's getting, you know, he's getting heat there. Why didn't you make a lot of moves at the deadline? Because they wanted Crawford and Painter. He said no to those guys. They got a closer, but he put his foot down. No, I'm not trading those two. And Painter looks like will be in the rotation, and Crawford for the Phillies. Carl's kid looks like he has a chance to make that opening day roster. So we might not find out what they were almost able to do for a while. We just found out that Baltimore was in on Suarez. I'm sure Boris leaked that. But there is, you know, you do have to look at plan B, and plan B would be David Hamilton in a Romy platoon or Nick Sogard in a Romy. I would rather go Nick Sogard in a Romy platoon or Romy straight out. It's because Sogard is I feel like Sogard's a better bench player than Hamilton. I don't think Hamilton is fantastic for that late inning stealing a base, but he does not handle not playing as good as those other guys. Like Nate Eaton can do that. Nate Eaton could play second base, but I don't want that plan B. But you do have to have that in the back of your mind that that's a possibility. That it just gets too rough, and that's the problem. Like I've talked about before, when you lose leverage, trading in trading is so situational. Like the stars really have to line up if you think about it. Like the way you were able to get Crochet, it just so happened that Crochet was in an organization that I don't think is a good one. I think the White Sox have made poor evaluations of players. I keep hearing all these, you know, when they traded Sale, I just heard over and over how they won that trade over the Red Sox in the end, which they didn't. They didn't. And I don't know if they'll win this trade. I still don't. If I was a White Sox fan, I'd be beside myself. I would never be jumping up and down that I got 4 prospects over having a top 3 pitcher in the game in that division, which you saw your rival. The Tigers are not a great 1 through 25 roster, but they have Skubal. But that had to just align that way. The White Sox did not, they weren't 100% in their player operations convinced that Crochet would hold up or was a starter. I mean, that's the, you know, I mean, they didn't read the room right at all. The Red Sox and a lot of teams were all over that. But that has to kind of line up that way. Things have to line up. And sometimes it is just luck or, you know, an organization. If the White Sox were good, they're not trading Crochet. And then your legacy's, you know, it's changed. So we'll see what they can do. Or is it something else? But I don't love this situation that they're in, but that's what, you know, I knew that's not signing Bregman, this would happen. You know, that's kind of Why Bregman always made sense to me. All right, Baseball America, which I love. Been reading those guys forever. I get that prospect book every year. They have 4 of the Red Sox prospects in the top 100. I mean, we don't see this a lot. You got Arias, Connolly Early, Kyson Witherspoon, Peyton Tolley. All 4 of those guys. And this is why, and I know we don't like to look ahead, but you should. And we're going to get the prospects or suspects people, which I never understand because I don't know where people think big league players come from. They grow on the big league player tree. Every big league player more than likely was a minor league player. But these guys are high level. We've already seen 2 of them. And the fact that you have 3 potential top of the rotation pitchers in your system. The Red Sox were lucky to even have a 5 as a prospect. You have 3, 2 on the doorstep. 1 could and I think should be in the big leagues and early. And 4 core pieces, potentially, right? I mean, I get it. There still is, but I feel pretty confident about that. Think about where the Red Sox could be if those guys were a little bit closer, and they might be. From all I've heard, Witherspoon has got a very good chance at ending up in Worcester by the All-Star break. That's crazy. Arias is inspired by Anthony. He wants to make the big leagues this year. That's his goal. He is a really, really good shortstop. So it's exciting. And you should be excited about that. Look at what Roman Anthony has already impacted your club. You're young. Narvaez, to me, you traded for him. You know, Meyer, Anthony, Rafaela, Abreu, Duran, Bayo, and you're adding some, you know, you're building this foundation, and even you got more, and guys that we're not even talking about, Mikey Romero. You know, there's others that we're leaving out. Drowan, Sandlin, and they're going to be ones we're not even, you know, aware of yet. All right, final show of the week. Let's get to your comments. They're always great. I always love your comments. We got a lot yesterday, and we're close to 3,100 subscribers already. We hit 3,000, and then we've got 100 just like this. Pasher 21K. Meyer is really smooth defender. I just pray he can stay healthy. Yeah, you are right. We're going to hear from Eric. Trading Duran would be a major mistake. I don't disagree with you. I don't fully agree with you. That's crazy. I get it. I don't love it either in terms of I still feel like he's a top of the order. You lose a lot of speed. But I'm not opposed to trading anyone if it makes the team a lot better. So to have to see what that looks like. And I will tell you this, that you can recover better needing outfielders than you can positions of priority. Catcher, look at that position. Shortstop, look at when Kike Hernandez played there. Third base, look when Rafi played there. I love Rafi, horrible defender. And now you're in a hole there. We've seen center field through a different lens over the years because we've had unbelievable ones. But you don't, I learned this from watching minor league baseball because I was there for all the great ones, you know, watching Jackie play. When Jackie left, it just looks so different. You don't realize what it looks like until they leave. Yeah, center field's a position of priority, but you can buy outfielders. It's hard to find those other positions because people just won't hand them over to you. Brian Martin, lax coach. You're a lacrosse coach. I figured that out. Just thinking out loud, if we trade Duran, who fills the outfield spot, I don't see a lot of outfield depth that's ready Are we not stronger if Durant stays? Plays center and Rafaela plays second, becomes a Gold Glove there. Do we have outfielders ready to go? I don't know about that. Thanks. Yeah, I just don't want the Rafaela at second base. Um, I just don't. I know where Durant ranked a couple years ago, but listen, the fact that when Justinson Garcia got called up last year and he played center over Duran at Yankee Stadium in his big league debut, I, I was like, well, why wouldn't Duran have played there? So while a lot of you are living off that runner up to the Gold Glove, it's just not, a couple of years ago, it's just not the way the Red Sox do it. They don't grade that way. And there were opportunities for him to play center last year where he didn't. I just go off that. If Cora is very reluctant to put him in center field when Rafaela was hurt or needed time off or they moved him, I don't think they'd be confident in doing that. And I just don't want to see that. People keep bringing up the Mookie Betts thing to me. Dave Roberts has been quoted, I did not want to do that, but we had no choice. And just because they do that, that doesn't mean, I want them to do that. And in terms of outfielders, yes, they absolutely. If they traded Duran, it would be Anthony, Rafaela, and Abreu. They have four right now, and you can't play. You're not going to, if Yoshida's in the mix, you're not rotating four guys that are everyday players. It's not happening. They're not going to put up with that. You're going to make some unhappy. You can't. And you got to take Anthony out of the equation. He's playing every day. You're not platooning or rotating Roman Anthony. He is potentially one of the best players in the game. You're not going to rotate Duran, Rafael, and Abreu because two of them, first of all, are left. Three of the four are left-handed hitters. But so that would be what would happen, and then you'd have to put Yoshida there. He'd have to play a little bit in the outfield, and then Nate Eaton can play the outfield and Campbell. But to answer your question, most teams don't have like 6 big league ready outfielders on their team. Like that's just the way it is. So yeah, if you do, you're right. I mean, you're right in regards that you would lose a little depth, but you need someone to play third base or second. You need another. So I mean, if it takes moving one of those outfielders and it's a good return and it makes you better, yeah, I'm all for it. I might not like it, but we're looking to improve, aren't we all? All right, go Pats. Um, Seattle Rams. I wouldn't mind seeing Seattle win because I think they've had kind of a, I don't know, somewhat underrated year. So you leave me your picks, and we'll talk Red Sox on here all weekend. If you want to get in the Discord, again, it's antonellis.michael@gmail. Hit the subscribe button on your way out. Leave your comments, and we'll talk to you again on Monday. Stay safe, happy shoveling, and as always, go Sox.